I haven't been hyped for a collab or any banner ever since Northern made her debut. I never would have imagined it, but Fairy Tail is coming very soon, like in 2 months. And you know what I'm thinking? You know what I'm planning right now? I'm planning on throwing all of my polls just for them. So you can bet that whenever they come soon for global, you'll have an insane video to watch. It's gonna be an absolute treat. Like, I can't wait any longer for them. But I still don't know what they do. I just know it like a little bit. So as always, how I do these type of videos, most of the time, they're my first impression of them. Like, it's gonna be my first time looking at these characters and stuff that's coming out for this update. And then of course, when they come soon for global, I'll be a lot more informed about them and the type of content that we're gonna get and stuff like that. But first, let's start off with my favorite character in Fairy Tail, Erza. So I do know that she is a physical DPS who's part of the Glory, Princess, and Time faction who can only be infantry. Her talent lets her do more damage, more mobility, and attack by the number of enemies up to 3. If there's an enemy nearby after the battle, can act again 1 time, which does have a cooldown. After killing an enemy, gets a revive that stacks 3 times. Oh man, there was another character that does better, like they're both similar depending on how many enemies there were. I honestly don't know what character it was, so hopefully when I edit the video, I remember. Otherwise, you guys can point it out to me. There's a bunch of characters, so it might be hard for me to find them. I can see so far that Erza really has to put in quite the effort. And man, can she do that. Her talent already looks very great, and for what she's doing, it's going to be very rewarding. One of her unique skills has a passive that lets her move after battle by how many that she had left before battle, which has a 1-turn cooldown. It lets her transform into Celestial Wheel Armor. It gives her Terrain Master, and at the end of her action and before battle, she obtains Magic Sword. When entering battle and kill the target, for each enemy soldier within range, kill 1 soldier per magic armor or sword. She will lose that buff when her transformation ends and gain 1 additional when in danger range that stacks 5 times. Oh wait, is it saying that she gets magic sword when in danger zone? Is that what it's trying to say? But regardless though, after using this skill, gets to act again that adds +3 mobility. So I can see that her mobility will be even more cracked out than it already is right now. But yeah, I'm already loving her. What I find strange is her magic sword buff thing. Like, it's a little bit weird. Killing soldiers, I don't really mind, but out of anything, I expected something more like, I guess like a bit more damage, even though her talent gives her a ton already. Or maybe just something like fixed damage to nearby enemies, so that means like at best, you know, with the magic sword, with what it's doing, you're getting rid like half of the soldier counts because there's always 10 soldiers. She has the single target skill that reduces offensive stats before battle. When having magic sword, deals fixed damage. Yeah, there it is right there. So this fixed damage is applied before battle, and it gets stronger for each stack and melee soldiers can attack with. So to add more to this, I did see that she does have War and Sword Soul, which can definitely be replaced if necessary. Lastly, her 3C. The passive, when an ally dies, dispels 5 debuffs, and the cooldown of the skill is fully refreshed. She discards her armor and obtains Demon Sword Red Sakura. It's a single target skill, dispelling 3 buffs before battle. If the number of allies on the field is less than the enemy cannot trigger revive. Yeah, I don't really like that. Another thing that can happen here is that it replaces Heaven Sword Sorrow with Red Cherry Blossom Sword, which can be used immediately. It reduces hero defense entering battle, attacks first, ignores defense, heals some HP before battle, and dispels 1 buff. For every enemy there is that's more than the ally, all effect value except her own defense reduction will be increased 1 time up to 3. Okay then, so yeah, I had to look this up because some of the stuff I was honestly really confused. So she ends up losing her transformation state to get a new form, apparently, which should change immediately after using it to the second skill. The effects do stack except her own defense reduction, so if there are more enemies than an ally, at best, 90% healing, dispelling 3 buffs, and I would even assume that means 90% defense ignore, which is diabolical for 2 turns. Like, that is insane. So she is going to be this like damage ramping DPS. Her over-reliance of basically being on the losing end is way too noticeable. Like, this kind of stuff is all fine and dandy in PvE. You'll be able to really capitalize on her full potential. Even if it's just a boss fight, you'll end up losing a bit of damage, but her usage is still going to be very prominent. So that's definitely going to be her best field, but PvP is where she's kind of going to be terrible. Like, she doesn't have any AoE skill, ignore guard skills, so she may as well just be like a tank buster, thanks to her act again, you know? Even though she does function better losing some of her allies, you might be able to still use her as intended. It's just that you're gonna lack on a ton of heavy damage, you know, and a little bit more mobility, but I feel like that's going to be a little bit of an issue compared to her damage. So I'm gonna compare her to Thxs, right? Where she also relies heavily on being on the losing end more, and they kind of want to be like a comeback character. Thxs, I can definitely see, makes way better use being on the loser end thanks to her own tools, since the way that she approaches and can deal with many other situations compared to Erza, where it's just like, for her, oh, she just has a ton of mobility and just does big damage, you know? Thxs has a better neutral game. So yeah, even though she is my favorite, I gotta speak honestly. Maybe my opinion will change later on, but I would say maybe barely by then. The second character here is Lucy. She is the one that I've seen have the most spotlights. She's magic that's part of the protagonist, princess, and time faction who can only be mage class. Her talent booster is, when Lucy and her star spirit use an AoE skill, they can release and damage to any grid within the skill range and apply star to them. After entering battle, can apply month? Yeah, I think it should be moon, like I'm kind of reading ahead here. So when enemies with star and moon engage Lucy and her star spirits, all stats are increased besides HP by 15%. If the enemy has star, they can be selected by Lucy and the spirit skills within 6 blocks and soldiers can attack with them. If they have moon, after being damaged by them in battle, all allies within 1 ring take fixed damage. Ooh, okay, that is pretty interesting. But I think we should look more into her kit first before I make a final thought. One of her unique skills can be chosen to use a summon skill. The skill cooldown is the same as the cooldown of the skill used, and the spirit can exist as well. You have 2 different ones. Afterwards, can act again. Okay, so this one is a bit weird because it says classes, but what I did see is that she only has 1 path. What it should be here is that you have 2 different options to summon them. That is what I saw if I remember correctly, but I could definitely be wrong about it. But I do know that one is AoE focused and the other one is more single target focused. So yeah, usually with how this website is that I'm using to show you guys, I am using a rough translation, so it is going to be wonky. But it's how I find these information at first glance. It's just how I make these type of videos. Another skill that she has is a single target that ignores guard. When fighting a star enemy, gain moon for the rest of the enemy within 1 ring. That's honestly pretty good. You can't let her summon go loose to apply star, then hopefully she is in range to sneak a kill in. Unfortunately, I don't think that her act again can follow up with it since she wants her summon first and you'll have to wait for the cooldown and then there's no move again, but at least she should hit hard with the AoE. Right here is her 3C that has more damage as a passive along with the spirit to enemies within both star and moon. Yeah, the translation is weird like I said, so it's usually wrong half of the time, but it should have been more damage by 50% if they have one of them than it doubles if they have both. Good thing I saw this information beforehand because I was excited for them, because if I didn't, then these stuff wouldn't make sense. This skill is an AoE that applies more moon to the target hit. If she doesn't have any star skill, then it'll be lost after using it, and the cooldown of that skill in the spirit is reduced by 3. Definitely, if you know how Bright Summoner works, Lucy is pretty much the same thing, you know? Same ideology, right? She could be single target focus, AoE focus, be this mixed attacker, whatever how you see fits, right? Sadly, her range is only affected by AoE damage, which is unfortunate. So you may have to use the spirit for that alone to apply it if you want to do that. Fixed damage is nice and all, but it's usually not a big deal some of the times. I honestly don't really have a lot of word to say here. I feel like that's really all there is to it, just a huge comparison to her and Bright Summoner. You know, creating synergy with both Lucy and the spirit, and depending on the type of damage that you're doing, it does one of two effects, with AoE being the biggest one, just so that Lucy can make good use of her single target skills with the huge range, you know? Or just simply just go flat out crazy with the AoE. Not much needs to be said about that. Now on to the final character, which is Natsu, the main character who is free, by the way. Now I don't know what he really does yet, so this is gonna be interesting. He is free though, so I don't really expect much. He's part of the protagonist, Healers and Time faction, who is a dragon unit. That might be surprising for some people because they are a rare class type, but it's a lore thing. His talent has a boosted attack and defense that is doubled when fighting dragon. So he's got the soda treatment, huh? After entering battle or being attacked by a friendly, gets a stack of flame feelings to increase damage to stacks 6 times. If he has at least 3 stacks, recovers HP after battle. Would have been a lot better if he also got those stacks, if he got attacked as well, something like that. Attacked by friendly, definitely I would assume that. Actually, maybe if they get attacked. Maybe that's what it's trying to say. I do also wish that there was something at max stacks. Like, it doesn't have to be anything too crazy. Something like all skills are reduced by 1 or something like that. But I haven't taken a look at his other skills yet, so we'll see. His unique skill is a single target that reduces the skill by 1 when killing. If you have at least 3 stacks of flame, the enemy cannot counterattack. The other one is a transformation. It boosts damage and turns him into a demon for 3 turns. When killing an enemy actively and have 5 stacks of flame, he can act again, which has a 2-turn cooldown. In this form, when an enemy or friendly is killed, it extends the duration. For every turn, active attacks dispose enemies before battle by 1 buff up to 3. When this form ends, gain Dragon Power Exhaustion, -2 mobility for 1 turn. I wonder if summon counts. So that way if you pair him with Lucy and her summon dies, it counts. But yes, he just simply gets a damage buff and act again. A little bit underwhelming. Maybe if you got like another mobility, but I'm not gonna be too judgmental just because he's a free character. I don't know, I feel like my standard got kind of higher because of Kasumi from Dead or Alive. A fantastic free unit, one of the best I've seen. Yeah, it's kind of like a double-edged sword using him. Something that you would definitely see way back in the day when, you know, during Yu Yu Hakusho, during those days. Where yeah, they can go crazy in the transformation form, but it has huge drawbacks. In Natsu's case, it's mainly the high cooldown. Needs lots of stacks for the act again, and then the mobility down, which is only 1 turn, so it's not that big of a deal. Finally, his Thxs. It has a passive that reduces his damage taken in +1 skill range when located in Flame Dragon King's domain. It's a single target skill. If you have at least 4 stacks of flame, he attacks before the enemy. In his transformation, after battle, the terrain around the target, 2 blocks, applies to flame domain for 2 turns. So when the enemy moves towards it, they take fixed damage and receive more damage from him that stacks twice for 2 turns. A strong positive that I could say is thankfully his flame stacks looks permanent. I still believe that he should get something at max stacks, like after witnessing what his other skills can do. It could have been something as simple as like +2 mobility. Other than that, Natsu 100% reminds me of like how Those long games would design their characters back during the Yu Yu Hakusho days, where they're like okay in their base form. Definitely Natsu is an exception to this, and then when they go and transform, it becomes something completely different. Natsu doesn't seem like that all too much. So yeah, it is pretty underwhelming, but again, he's a free character, so it makes me sad to see him like this. But what I'm also sad is that we got no Gray. Where is Gray's long games? I know you guys usually do 3 characters every collab, but come on. I'm very upset by that. You should have added Gray as like a free character at least, something. Alright, so with all those characters out, let's take a look at some new SP soldiers. So first we got here is for Royal Protector. There is a before and after here, so looks like they have more attack, and when attacked it is doubled and can counterattack, which I would guess like at any range. Man, I would always remember using them on Kristan, and she would basically like take no damage. From magic at least. Next up is the Sorceress. Oh man, we needed a buff for them. They were like the best thing until fairies came out. So now the higher their health, it affects their attack and magic defense up to 45%, which is honestly way better than staying at full HP. I still really much prefer the poison bad mage just because the debuff are always going to be a huge thing. If you just want pure damage, then I don't think they're gonna still be the best thing, since their damage still falls off compared to the wizard and fairies, where it's always going to be fixed. But if you really want the magic defense to survive, they could be worth it. Last SP is the Zealots, the OG holy soldiers that you would always rock. So now with each buff, instead of being above 80% HP, will now grant the attack, defense, magic defense boost. And they will now heal 20% HP, which is doubled if there's a debuff and dispels it too. Oh my goodness. Yes, their usage is going to make a return, and I'm already loving it. There will be an exclusive equip for Eshean. Looks like it's a helmet, so her command range is increased by 1 and gains more additional effect. The healing dispels a debuff, attack and in boost also gives immunity to silence, the act again gives a damage buff. Not bad, especially that healing part. I would say like not a really crazy buff, but it's still quite useful, just that I don't feel like it's anything too crazy. For the casting skills, the first one that we have is for Lugner. At the end of his turn, doubles the sin owned by one random enemy. I guess should just make him a bit annoying. Those debuffs do really hit hard. I know it's definitely one of the biggest reasons why I hate him. Second is for Nemia. Ooh, okay. When she's on her terrain, it's treated as water and deals more damage. Okay, hold on. Forgive me if I'm wrong about this, since it's been a while since I've used Nemia, but I feel like I still know basically everything about the character. I do use her a lot. But doesn't she get benefits from being on her own tiles? Like, that's what I'm having a hard time trying to figure out. Like, what does being on water even help her with? Like, I know her movement is water, but doesn't she have to be aquatic to get, you know, more defense? So I'm not sure what is going on here. Because being on water doesn't affect what she does. It's only her tile, so that would mean her range from a 3C and mobility mitigation. Yeah, like I don't get it. Okay, let's say this. If it was saying like it gets treated as a water tile to make it harder for the enemy to approach, then that would make sense. If I'm wrong about this, please let me know in the comments, please, because I generally don't understand this one. With some of the banners that I found were pretty interesting. A raid up for Isolde, another raid up that has Eshean and Tarantul, then a Destiny banner that has Zeon, Nemia, and Nornerin. As for content, you got the farmable event to get Natsu. Another new thing here is a forging system, where if you have something like an SR scroll, even like a R scroll as well, you can exchange them for a whole bunch of them for a few SSR scrolls. And it can be done also with the Anarchy and casting materials as well, which is going to be very huge. About time we got this feature. New territory unlock, Angelica prize roulette for more soldier skins. Should be the return of the ban and pick system from Apex Arena like the other game mode. This Anarchy event here where I'm pretty sure you farm Secret Realm for the items to exchange for rewards. Then you have a 14-day login event. Some of the skins that I saw is the Echo Light for both Erza and Lucy. Honestly, I might return to being a whale for these. A wedding skin for Serena? I honestly don't know how to pronounce her name. But it looks great. It's a lovely look. Honestly looks better than her Echo Light, unless you're an edgy type of person that prefers that kind of style. Which I will admit, I did have my phase, you know. I am the type of person that prefers like the cooler type of skins, but I also enjoy the nice, lovely looks too. Have you seen Angelina? Then some of the soldier skin here is for the zombie giant from the collab. This weird snowman one for the exorcist from the Anarchy thing. Then from Angelica's Lucky Roulette, features skins for the Jungle Dancer, Fang Subjugator, Netherworld, and the Demi-Human. Alright, so that was about most of the stuff that I found were interesting in this update for the Fairy Tail collab. I absolutely cannot wait for this collab to drop on Global. I really love Fairy Tail, and I do plan on going all out on the banner. It's gonna be great. I'm so hyped for it right now. Like, when it drops in 2 months, I'm gonna go absolutely crazy. So you can expect some banger videos by then. Another thing that I'm very excited for is that they finally added the forging system. You know, so that you can use up the SR scrolls which nobody uses, and then you can convert them into SR scrolls, even for the Anarchy and casting as well. After years, finally we got something like that. And I have complained about it before, I just never mentioned it until now. But after this, we do have the 7th anniversary, which I don't know anything about it yet. I haven't caught up on it, so I might make a video on it, we'll see. And I did see the recent new ones. Speaking of new characters, I did hear about the announcement for an Atelier Ryza collab. Should happen in the distant future. I don't think there's any information on it yet, but surprisingly, I am familiar with the game. Just never played it, so I don't know anything about it. That is all I got. If you guys did enjoy this video you saw here and you want to see more, feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more, and feel free to leave a comment down below if you're just about excited as I am for Fairy Tail. With all that being said, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. So yeah, thanks for watching. Your fellow Z.